What's up, YouTube? It's me. It's your boy D, and I'm back here with, you already know, another one. And tonight, I am here to do the 11th and final episode of my third and final season, and most of all, my last episode in the franchise, entitled Red Flags. So, without further ado, ain't nothing to it but to do it. So let's dive into it. All right, y'all. So we are back and we are here. We finally made it. We done made it to the end of the franchise, or at least the end of my run on the franchise as we currently speak today. And quite frankly, probably for good, because let's face it, you really think those people want to fuck with me after all this? Like, as vocal as I done been, I'm pretty sure what we're about to watch right here is the absolute last of me on that franchise. And you know what? I'm all right with that, because, you know what I'm saying, I've been through a lot, and it helped a lot, but it also did a whole lot of damage, which I would definitely get into. But we here. And, you know, this episode right here is it's going to be a tough one, you know what I'm saying? Because like I said, it's the end. It's my swan song, basically. It's the end of my mama. It's the last time you're going to see my mama on the franchise. Yeah, and it's just a combination of a journey that I never thought that I would be going through, and I don't know if it'll ever be duplicated, you know, but it is what it is, you know. I gotta say, man, yeah, I need to save some of this for the final thought, because I'm getting too ahead of myself already. But yeah, man, we about to dive into this shit right here, and I got a lot of tea to unpack in this one right here. Because just because it's a few segments on here and it's going to be a 2-segment episode, don't mean that the madness ended after this episode. Because there was a whole lot more that went down after the fact, the aftermath. And I'm going to talk about it all. And I'm going to show y'all all some shit you never seen before. Open your eyes to a few things. Hopefully you'll understand my point of view, my side of all this, where I'm coming from. And finally, I'll be done talking about fucking Lindsay and fuckboy Buckethead. So all those that be hating on me can shut the fuck up, bothering me about always talking about them, like I didn't just talk about Nicole 2 whole other seasons, all right? So without further ado, I ain't even gonna waste y'all's time no more. Y'all know how we ended off the last time with me and old fuckboy Buckethead, you know, almost coming to blows, and then me telling them, as soon as you take off, guess what's gonna happen, pussy? She gonna cheat on you. Guess what? Y'all saw it. So anyways, this right here is basically what happens next after that. So let's look at it, and then we're gonna come back and talk about it, all right? So let's do it. If it plays. So same as Airbnb. Look at me looking defeated.
That's everything.
We're here.
You ready for this?
I guess.
You ready for this? Look at her smiling all up in his face and shit.
Daonte.
Fuck, boy.
What's up?
Listen,
Come on, give me a minute.
You see me? I ain't ready to talk to you yet.
last night, after all the drama with Daonte, I finally had sex with Blaine.
Look, you think he's so damn
Me and
cool.
Blaine have just been friends for so long. I never thought this would be a possibility. I really didn't.
You a lie. Your ass was
I
already
don't
having
want to
sex
add
with him.
on this, like, really negative, bad way. I'm sorry you got hurt in this. I'm sorry that I hurt you.
I ain't trying to hear that.
But, like, I've not been happy with you, Daonte. Like, Blaine makes me happy.
Kiss my
You
ass,
didn't even
man.
give me a chance to make you happy.
Whatever.
Like, be straight up. Like, be honest.
He think he's so damn cool, leaned up
When
against
did you
that
start
damn
messing
rental
with
car
him, like,
too. Pussy,
has
that
it
ain't
been
even your
going on
car.
all along?
No. There might have been feelings, but they were never acted on.
She's such a liar. Look at my face, I'm over
Take
it.
this.
I'm
It's
over
too
it.
much.
Hold on to it.
No. Daonte.
No.
Cannot
Hold on to
take
it.
this.
Listen, I want you to have something for me that's going to actually help you in your future.
Just hold
It's
on
brand
to
new.
it.
Just keep it. Right now, I am broken and defeated.
That was true, I was.
Because every time I try, this will happen to me.
Find happiness in yourself, and you'll find happiness with somebody else. I promise. It's coming.
Listen to her trying to sound like she motivates somebody. Set your ass down. That was real right there, though. That was some real emotion.
You take care of yourself.
This is the guy that I was in love with. Like, this is the guy who became my best friend. I know that we could have had something amazing.
Are you happy to have me here?
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
And it sucks. Like, it hurts.
no it don't. You don't give a fuck. You talking about it hurt. No, it don't. It hurt me, yeah. You wanted that fucking.
Well, feel better?
Feel
Get that off
better?
your chest?
Yeah. I'm glad it didn't end on, like, last night.
So y'all
Yeah.
officially done. It's over with. You're out.
Yeah. Sure, Dorothy?
You don't walk in.
Look at this bullshit here. Right while I'm sitting there, they was already together, but still.
Let's do this thing.
Let's do this thing. Shut your punk ass up. You better go return that car to Enterprise. Do that, pussy. Alright, I'm sorry. Every time I watch him, and just every time I look at him, I want to talk shit. Alright? Sorry. Anyways, as you can see, that was the scene right there, alright? So now then, I'm gonna wait to talk shit. I'm gonna stop it right here, alright? We're gonna do some first time reveals for that scene right there. And we're gonna come back and press on, alright? So let's do it. Alright, y'all. So we are back now for our first time reveal for segment number 1 of episode 11 of my third and final season. And basically my swan song, Red Flags. Now, y'all saw I got a little animated already, right? Now, as you can see, this scene starts off with me at that Airbnb that I did not pay for, once again. Basically packing my stuff and getting ready to go, head back to Virginia. Now, backstory behind that scene. Now, as y'all saw on the prior episode, where the shit hit the fan, and as I explained, I had the gun on me and all that, so it exploded the way that it did. Well, directly after that, my ass was ready to go. I was ready to go back to Virginia. Alright? Fuck doing another scene. I felt like I did all they wanted me to do. I was done. You know what I'm saying? The executive producer, was calling me, blowing me up that night, trying to calm me down. Because see, that's what he does. And he'll make you feel like, you're great. I'm so proud of you and this and this. And here's why. He was happy and he was proud of me at that particular point in time because now he had all the footage that he needed. He had that explosive footage that he needed for his season finale, all right? That's what it's about. They don't give a fuck about you personally, all right? They don't give a fuck that they just done ruined your relationship or they done just embarrass you on national television or nothing like that. They don't care about none of that. What they care about is getting the footage that they need. They now had that footage. However, he wasn't done. He needed that last scene. He needed that last breakup scene to end that story, all right? So that's why I'm getting coddled and basically, you're awesome and this and this. And because I delivered, I'll pat myself on the back with that, because one thing about me and my relationship with them in production is I would always say, you know, if you watch WWE or if you're a WWFE fan the way that I was back in the late 90s, you know, basically I've been a wrestling fan since the late 80s, all of the 90s, the early 2000s, you know, up until it got PG in about 2008. That's when I fell out. But if you're a fan, you'll know this reference that I'm about to make. There's a legendary wrestler named Shawn Michaels, a Heartbreak Kid, Shawn Michaels, one of the greatest performers of all time. Well, if you know the backstory of Shawn Michaels, he was difficult as fuck backstage. Everybody hated his ass. And he bumped heads with the boss, Vince McMahon, a whole lot, to the point where he should have been fired. You know, he got away with a whole bunch of shit. But it is because, as difficult as he was behind the scenes, as much of a nuisance as he could be, when it came time to perform, there was nobody better than Shawn Michaels. When it came time to get in that ring and perform or go out there and cut a promo or something, there was almost nobody better than Shawn Michaels. You know, he performed. He might have made Vince McMahon's hair turn gray, but when it came time to deliver, he delivered. So I always kind of put myself in that same category, even though I'm not Shawn Michaels. I ain't nowhere near on that level, but I mean, I felt like as far as this franchise goes, as much as I made him pull his damn hair out, the little bit of hair that he has left, at the end of the day, when it came time to perform, when that camera was on me, I always delivered, I felt like. So, you know, that's where my relationship was with him. And I think that's why they dealt with me for so long. But man, I was over it. I was ready to go. I did what they needed me to do. But this guy was blowing me up, calling me, hey, man, you know, I just need you one more day. Because basically we had to get to this scene. So I was calm enough to the point where I said, fine, I'll fucking stay one more day and do that. So that's where we were at. So I went back to my actual hotel room that night, stayed by myself, you know what I'm saying? I didn't hear from Lindsay or nobody after that night. And then the next day, early in the morning, I got up, packed all of my stuff, checked out of my hotel room, went over there to that Airbnb, all right, and basically took all my stuff, my Jordans and everything, back out of there and put it back in there as if I had stayed in there the night before, so that they could film me coming out, packing up, so that Lindsay could eventually pull up. And that's where we are. So it shows me coming in and out of the Airbnb, you know, taking my stuff, packing my stuff as if I'm getting ready to leave. And then Lindsay pulls up with Fuckboy in that rental car Charger, okay? So now as Lindsay is pulling up, you know, she gets out of the car, walks up to me with that Chromebook that I told you guys I gave to her the night prior. You see what I'm saying? You see the continuity. Now you see that I know what the fuck I'm talking about. Because I mentioned that in the last episode, and there you see it in her hand. How did she get it? There it is. Now you know. All right. So she pulls up with this Chromebook. Now, at this point, I have this emotionless expression on my face. The reason why is because I was over it at this point. I just was over everything. So there was no more need for me to show no emotion. I already knew what it was. I knew that they were together. I fulfilled the obligation, you know, I felt like I needed to fulfill. And you know, it was what it was. So that's why I just had this blank look while she's up here talking to me. And, you know, she basically her role is to break up with me officially so that they can move forward, basically with the two of them, and get rid of my ass. So that's what she was there to do. So I don't know how much of that was even genuine coming from her, but I do feel like it was a genuine exchange, especially on my part. So as we're talking, you know, and she's telling me, oh, I'm sorry that I'm not happy with you. It's pissing me off because I'm like, I ain't even do shit to you for you to not be happy with me. Like, you're not happy with me because I don't want you living with another dude. Because obviously I know you messing with the dude. You're not happy with me because I asked you to communicate with me the same way you was wanting me to do. You're not happy with me, in my mind, in my opinion, because you think I'm broke now. Because you done seen my credit report. And so now all of a sudden, you got a whole change of attitude. Like you had something that you was bringing to the table other than some pussy to begin with. If we going to keep it a buck. All right? At least I can fix my credit. Okay, you come with a whole criminal record. And nothing else but a pretty face and some pussy. That's it. If I'm going to keep it a buck. If it's one thing I agreed with Blaine on is that one last final scene that they did on the last season where he was like, I don't got a pretty pussy that I can just put out there and use people. He actually had a point with that. And that's something that I probably had wanted to say to her a long time ago. I guess never had the balls to do it. And he did. So kudos to him for that. Now your dumb ass should be smart enough to know that she don't give a fuck about you. But that's a tale for another day. You feel me? But yeah, yeah. So that kind of pissed me off. And so, you know, my demeanor is you didn't give me a chance. You know, you didn't give it a chance because she didn't. She found out a few things and panicked just like that, in my opinion. And then just went for who was convenient for her at the time. Because he don't got shit his damn self. He don't make half of what I make. He don't have nothing of his own. He just happened to be there where she is. That's it. She's explained that to me so many times. He's just here, Daonte, you're not. So, like, to me, that just told me all somebody got to do is be there at whatever time of need that she's got, and that's good enough for her. So, basically, if I had been able to be down there in Mississippi with her, none of that probably would have happened. But it is what it is. So, now when she's trying to give me back the Chromebook, I'm telling her to keep it. Now, actually, the night prior to that, when we got into it, I asked for my shit back. I told them to bring me my shit back. And they brought me my shit back. Because I was like, fuck that. Her and him can find their own shit. So I took it back that night, but then I ended up giving it back early that next morning. Before I saw her, I told them to just let her keep it. Because I gave it to her for real because I meant for her to have it. So I took it back out of anger, but then I just said, let her keep it. So when she's trying to give it back to me, I'm like, nah, man, just keep that shit. Like, you need it anyways. I'm pretty sure that's what she uses to this day to do her Zoom meetings or whatever. You know, she was using my follow to even watch the damn episodes. I hope she's got her own now because I'm pretty sure I didn't change my passwords, but, you know. So I ended up letting her, you know, keep the Chromebook or whatever. We gave our last little embrace. She's trying to be all, you know, what, motivational. Find happiness within yourself. I'm like, man, get out of my face. All right? Ain't nobody trying to hear that. Nah. You trying to look good for the camera. That's what that was. She knew what she was doing. She knows exactly what she's doing when it comes to that image of hers. Don't sit up there and try to look good for the damn camera. Fuck all that. Yeah, I wasn't trying to hear that, man. But anyways, you know, we embraced, and that last little embrace we had, you can see the emotion on my face. You know, that was very emotional for me because I was hurting real bad, and that was the end of us, and I knew that was the end of me and Lindsay. And so I had to suck it up and deal with it, and I hugged her real tight. All the while, this punk motherfucker standing there, leaned up against the rental car, like he cool, like he supposed to intimidate somebody. I don't even know why they had him there. Like, him being there was a waste of time. Because I ain't had no dialogue with him. I ain't even look his direction. I ain't had shit to say to him. They just wanted him there for whatever reason. So then she, I tell her, go ahead, take care of yourself. And she takes off and gets back in the car. I get into my car and I'm ready to back up and leave. The producer there telling me, just stay there for a minute. Just stay there. Don't go anywhere yet. And now I know she was telling me to stay there so that they could film that scene of these two trifling ass motherfuckers kissing right behind me. Okay? While I'm sitting in my car, I didn't even know they were doing that. I wasn't even looking that direction. I'm just sitting there waiting for them so I can back up. That's why I'm sitting like this. Like, come on, man, I'm ready to go. I didn't even know they was back there kissing. She just smiling in his face like she don't give a fuck. That's what I be talking about, you know? But that's what it was. That was the scene. And then, yeah, and then what happened is they pull off. I get to pull off finally. And then from there, I leave. I left the state of Mississippi. And that would be the last time I saw Lindsay in person. It's the last time I've seen Blaine in person to this day. That would be the last time I would see Lindsay in person for 2 months. Because I would end up seeing her again in Los Angeles when we went to do the photo shoot for this season, which I will definitely get into, all right? Now then, I'm going to stop this right here. Because or should I stop it right here? Let me think. Let me just do this. All right. Let me just do this. After I pulled off and left Mississippi, I made 3 phone calls. First phone call I made was my best friend Derek. Second phone call I made was to a blogger, a YouTuber that I used to be real close with, that everybody knows who she is without me having to say a word. Everybody needs that one. I called her. And last but not least, I called Cece. Because it was around this time that me and Cece had started talking. Just hadn't officially become a thing yet. So right after I shot that scene and was on my way back to Virginia, I called Cece. Basically told Cece about everything, about all the filming I had done, explained to her that I was on my way home. And I'm ready, So I got home pretty much that night. And the next day, Cece was in Virginia visiting me. And that would be the start of myself and Cece. All right? Now I'm going to stop it right here. We're going to watch segment number 2. Because it's a 2-segment episode. Come back and do some first-time reveals on that. And I'm going to drop a fuck ton of tea, all right? So let's get to it. All right, y'all. So we are back. And as you can see, it's already getting interesting, right? All right, so now we are back for segment number 2 and basically the final segment of the season finale, the 11th episode entitled Red Flags. And this right here is like a double scene because it's basically Lindsay's ending and mine. And basically, it's a lot of backstory to that, all right? So without even further ado, I ain't going to waste too much time talking about it. We're going to watch this, all right? And then I'm going to come back and talk about it because I got a whole lot to reveal about this. But first, let's watch, all right? All right.
America has the largest incarceration population in the world. We carry 25% of the world's imprisoned population. More than 1.2 million mothers are taken away from their kids each year. Those are the kids that need their parents.
Baby rice?
Oh, you just want to beat me, huh?
Yeah.
1, 2, 3. It's freaking sad. Like, yeah, I messed up, but does that mean I shouldn't be allowed to be a mom?
Yeah, if you mess up.
I love you.
Love you too.
It sucks. I mean, I get where she's coming from, but
I had 3 video visits a week. I had a daily 15-minute phone call. And I told myself I would get back to her one day. And I did.
I'm proud of her for that. That was a short little talking head.
I really wish I got to do more stuff like this when I was a kid. Gaming wasn't much fun for fiction.
Oh, here we
So
go.
that music was granddad.
They look like you need a shower and everything.
There you go. Thank you.
You're also very welcome.
Oh, look at this happy
I like
family.
that better.
Oh,
I know you do. So how's your parole been going? It's good. They actually, what they say, leveled me up on my drug tests, which means I take less drug tests a month because I've consistently tested negative each time. It's good. I was excited.
yeah, that's good.
Shoot. Nice job.
So are you and Blaine like together now?
Yeah, basically. Yeah. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter who I'm with. My focus is going to be on you. I'm still working, living with Blaine, but I'm ready to be a mom full time again.
So what happened with you and Daonte?
She went flinching.
I'm scared of that thing.
We just really needed a break. Daonte's last trip here was like disastrous. Like it could not have gone worse. I feel really bad for the way things ended with me and Daonte.
No, you
I feel like
don't.
there's a lot of things I could have done differently, and I feel like we lost something that could have been great. And like I miss Daonte. Daonte and me were really close. Like this is somebody that like helped me through prison. Like this was my friend. This is my best friend. So I would love to say that I have no feelings left for Daonte, but like I miss Daonte, you know.
See, I don't know if those are crocodile tears or if they real sometimes.
Yes, yes.
Oh, here we go.
Yes, y'all. You don't stop.
With my prison orange shirt on.
I've been kind of going through it, man.
My
You
mama.
wanna know the truth? It sounds crazy, but I really did love Lens, Mom. I did.
Okay,
I
we
did.
all get hurt. You get up, you put your big boy drawers on, and you keep it moving. If you keep doing the same thing, you're going to get the same result. So maybe try something a little bit different.
Right. All right, here we go. Who might that be?
Somebody at the door.
Hold on a minute, let me check.
It ain't who you thought it was, huh?
Hey, girl.
How are you?
Jill.
Come in.
Look at Jill.
Anytime.
Hey.
I would like you to meet Jill.
Hello.
Hey,
This is one of my friends at work. This is her daughter.
Look at that girl.
Hey. How are you?
how you doing?
Good. Good. I'm Jill.
I'm Daonte.
It's nice to meet you.
Look at Jill looking all shy.
Never been in prison. My biggest fear is that there's going to be an inmate number 4. If it's any other female inmates
boy.
out there, stay out of his inbox, please.
Want to see him?
Sure. Because karma is a mother. Know that.
All this caught me off guard, man. Like, it make me feel awkward, man. You know,
My mom always
I'm out
make
here
that.
trying to play matchmaking.
Thank you.
Well, thank you, Mom.
You're welcome.
So is there a thing that you have, like, just for inmates?
I don't think
No.
so. I'm a little bit of a mess. I'm going to tell you right now, but I'm a whole vibe, man, once you get to know me.
Yeah.
Read my lips. My black ass is done with some damn inmates.
Right?
You understand me? If I ever go to another prison website and look for an inmate, I want somebody to whoop my
my ass.
whoever. No, I'm done. You got an energy about you, Jill.
I do.
Yeah,
You know, they say mama
Yeah,
knows
Jill, you got
best.
that energy.
you're right.
Oh, I think I got something.
I got something.
No, you don't. I got something. See?
Here we go.
Blaine.
Yeah.
Mine's totally bigger.
No.
We literally caught a fish simultaneously. It's been a long time coming to get back here. Like, all I want to do is make my kid proud.
Oh my God, pull
And
out
do
the
well for
violin,
myself and
man.
her.
Jesus.
Got some back.
And show my mom that she can depend on me again. Like, these things matter so much to me.
You're not even crying,
You
man.
know, you have to kiss a fish before you throw it back in, right?
You're funny.
Yeah, for real. It's like when you kill a deer, you gotta drink the blood of it.
No.
Shut your punk
Just
ass
a
up,
little.
man.
No.
Yeah, kiss it.
So
That's what
okay.
you look like.
I
Kiss
gave
it.
up everything for drugs. And now all I'm having to do is give up drugs and I'm getting everything back. And it's an amazing feeling.
Oh my Lord. I don't see not a tear coming down that face. Just saying. Not a
Like,
tear.
my recovery is the best thing that's ever happened to me. I'm so proud of you.
And he like such a creeper. Just,
Hey, easy, killer.
hey, easy, killer.
Let's see how you like
All right, well, as you can see, that was basically the end. The end of both of the end of our story together, basically. And as you can see, Lindsay got the lion's share of the end, and I got that little bullshit in the middle, all right? That's like kind of like a last little fuck you, all right? Anyways, I'm going to stop this right here, come back and do my first time reveals for those segments right there, and then I'm finna spill the tea, all right? So let's get it. All right, so we are back for my final first time reveal for an episode of Love After Lockup that I was a part of. Can you believe that? I done got through 3 seasons with y'all doing this, all right? Me, you guys, and Selena, all right? Now, as the last segment left off, as you can see, their last little fuck you to me was having the two of them kiss right behind me as I pulled off, or as I'm about to pull off, right? So then, like I said, once I left there, I pretty much called those 3 people. Me and Cece became an item right after that, pretty much. And that was that. All right? Now then, where did these scenes come from? So now let me start off with Lindsay's. As you can see, it begins with that little short talking head of Lindsay's, where she's talking about the prison systems and how they keep moms away from their daughters, and just because you do something wrong, should you be separated from your daughter? Yes, if you break the law, and I ain't one of those people that's pro police or nothing like that, but I mean, if you're gonna do some shit that you know you ain't supposed to be doing, yeah, they're gonna take you away. That's just how it is. Should the punishment be a little less harsh? It depends on the crime. That's how I look at that. You know, but I kind of just looking at that little segment just further showed me like what this whole entire storyline between me and Lindsay was meant to be. All right. So then they transition to her segment, you know, where it looks like this big happy fucking Brady Bunch ass family out here on this fishing dock. I don't know when that was filmed, but I do remember Lindsay telling me, because as you remember, even though we had broke up and that was supposed to be the end of us, me and Lindsay continued talking to each other afterwards. Once I went to Los Angeles and we did that photo shoot together, we reconnected. And like I said, got trifling for a minute, started getting flirty with each other again. Trust me, I'm going to get into all of that. But I remember during that period of time, her telling me that, yeah, I did a scene where I basically was crying at the end, talking about how I missed you. Because, see, we were going through a period of time where I wasn't sure whether I was coming back or not. Because they don't do a great job keeping in touch with you. Or at least not with me anyways. They kept in touch with Lindsay. They told Lindsay shit. They didn't tell me nothing. And it's probably because they were always mad at me, but whatever. So we were going through this stretch of time where I didn't know what was going on. And she had in her mind that I was coming back no matter what. Because she wanted me to be a part of that last season she was just on. And I'll explain that later on, all right? But, you know, so basically she told me that, hey, you know, I started crying at the end because In her words, she really did miss me. That's what she says. It was genuine. I have a hard time believing that sometimes because Lindsay is good at what she does. So that's why I said I don't know if that was crocodile tears or what. You know what I'm saying? But the whole thing with Miley asking her, are you and Blaine together and all this and all that, that was set up. Because yes, they were together already. They were together the whole time we were filming all of that. And Miley knew that. You feel me? So now they transition on to me at my mama's house. Once again, that was not my mom's house. That was not even the same Airbnb that we used the prior 2 seasons to be my mom's house. That was a whole different Airbnb. Because once again, my mama was not about to allow them to film in her house. So they got another Airbnb, a different one. I'm like, people are going to know this ain't the same place. But they wasn't worried about that. And it seemed like every scene with my mom, they wanted my mom to be cooking something. Like, my mama don't even cook like that, like she used to. But they always wanted her to be like the housewife type in there cooking stuff, all right? So, ironically, I'm walking around in a damn orange shirt, prison orange, like whatever. And this scene starts with my mama basically introducing me to this new girl. Now, a lot of people, when this thing was coming on, thought that was going to be Nicole. It's funny how things play out, because had that been present day, it might have actually been Nicole. Because as y'all know, if you've been tracking with me and following me and, you know, what I've been saying, you'll know that I have admitted recently that yes, I have seen Nicole recently. I hang out with Nicole here and there sometimes. You know, me and Nicole are on good terms now. We spent time together, all right? Are we officially together like that? No, not necessarily. But we hang out sometimes, basically. You know what I'm saying? And so, that being said, had that scene been filmed present day, that might have actually been Nicole. But then again, I don't think so, because I doubt my mama would introduce me to Nicole, of all people, all right? So I doubt that. That was actually a girl named Jill. Now, Jill, for those of you that want to know who Jill is and where Jill came from, true fact about that scene right there. That scene right there of my mom introducing me to this person, that is a scene that was designed for Cece. Okay? That was supposed to be Cece's scene. Backstory behind that. They actually wanted my ending to be what was actually going on in my real life. And what was going on in my real life at that time was that I was in a relationship with Cece, and Cece was pregnant. Because that scene right there was what you call another pickup scene. That scene right there was filmed about a month before that actual season aired. So I was already in a full-fledged relationship with Cece. Cece was pregnant. You can tell that scene was filmed way after the fact by my haircut, because my hair is shorter than it is when I got that blue shirt on the previous scene. Not only that, you can tell by the watch, because I'm wearing this watch that I'm wearing right now on that scene. I had just got this watch. On the previous scene, I'm wearing a different watch. You see how that works? That scene was meant for Cece. Cece was supposed to have been a part of the show. Cece never cared to do the show. She was only going to do it for me. What ended up happening was, you know, Cece had already done talk to production and everything. So they had already slated for her to come to Virginia and film this scene with me. What happened was me and Cece were having issues. You know what I'm saying? We were in the middle of going back and forth with each other. Lindsay had a lot to do with it because this was the time period where me and Lindsay was being trifling, being flirty behind Cece and Blaine's backs. And Cece's not a dumbass like Blaine. Okay, Cece, you know, was hip to a lot of that shit. And so we were having our issues, arguing back and forth. Not only that, but something else had done happened that, you know, Cece got upset with me about. So with that being said, me and Cece are arguing, and Cece had this thing where she sometimes would move without telling me how she's moving, the same way that I move without telling people how I move. So what happened was, me and Cece are arguing back and forth, left and right, through text message or whatever. The whole time that we are arguing, Cece is on her way up to Virginia. But I didn't know that. She didn't tell me she was driving to Virginia. We're just arguing the whole time. So she ends up sending me a picture of a vehicle. And the only thing in my mind is that she's sending me a picture of a car. So in my mind, I'm thinking that she's sending me this picture to tell me that she's out living her best life right now. So it made me mad. So I'm like, I don't know what you sending me that for. I don't care what you... I said, do something stupid. And I'm going to show you how I handle that. And what I meant by that was, do something stupid by go out and cheat on me, basically. And I'm going to show you how I handle that. And what I meant by that was, I'm just going to cut you off. I believe Cece took that as me threatening to call the police on her or something. Because I didn't realize that what she was showing me was that she was on her way up to Virginia. I didn't realize that until 4 hours later when I went back and looked through those texts. And I looked at that picture and I saw that plate had a Virginia license plate on it. So then I texted her and I was like, wait, are you in Virginia? Are you on your way up here? And by that time, Cece had done turned her ass back around and went back to Michigan. And I was pissed. And I was like, no, what are you doing? What are you doing? Like, because we were filming literally the next day. Like, we were supposed to be there on camera the next day. So now I'm panicking because I didn't know she was on her way up here. And now what am I going to do? You know what I'm saying? Production is depending on her to be there. I'm depending on her to be there if she's not there. So now I'm panicking. Because now I told production she's on her way up here and then she turned back around. So now what? So now they're basically telling me where you're going to have to find somebody else in a moment's notice, just like that, to do this scene. So I don't know who the fuck to call. By this time, me being with Cece, I had pretty much cut off a lot of the people that I had been associating with because Cece would be uncomfortable with a whole lot of people. So I didn't know too many girls that I could just call on a whim like that and say, hey, can you do this scene with me? Me and LaCrystal had fell out a while ago. Plus, she had already been on the show. So what was I going to do? Two people came up into my mind. My friend Shawnee. I've known Shawnee since 2013. I always have had a little crush on her, a little thing for her. I would say vice versa. We've always had, a flirty relationship. It's just never been a thing. She's always had a boyfriend or just, I just never got her. So for whatever reason, she came to mind because I believe I had just spoke with her a few days prior to that. And I don't know. I hit her up and said, hey, would you like to do this show with me? Now, originally, Shawnee was down and she was slated to do this scene with me. So even before Jill, that scene was supposed to have been Shawnee. What ended up happening was Shawnee talked to production, went and got tested for COVID and popped positive. She didn't even know she had COVID. She didn't have no symptoms or nothing. She just turned out to be positive for COVID. So it was because of that, Shawnee couldn't do the scene. And to be quite frank, I'm kind of glad that she didn't do the scene. because as you can see, Shawnee is a black woman. You know the narrative with me, everybody's and their mama swears up and down that I don't like black girls. So imagine, you know what I'm saying, and Shawnee and I were not actually together. So I can just imagine what would have happened if Shawnee would have been able to do that scene where my mama introduced me to her, and then I turned out in a relationship with Cece after the season's over with. People would have went crazy again. See, I told you he don't like black girls. It would have been a whole deal. So it was kind of a blessing in disguise that Shawnee couldn't do the scene. So with her, you know, being out of the equation, who else could I turn to? It just so happens that Jill also happens to be, I ain't gonna lie, you know, like I said, everybody knows that I smoke. Sometimes Jill would be a plug for me. Jill knows how to get shit. Jill has been my homegirl for a while. I met Jill in 2021, you know, during like my first season, when my first season was airing at the gym, at a Planet Fitness. I was at the gym working out, and Jill just happened to be in the gym, and she walked up to me and asked me if I was who I was. And I said, yeah. Me and her, you know, struck up a conversation after that. We got close. And just like Shawnee, I've always kind of had a thing, you know, Jill and I used to kind of crush on each other back then. Nothing ever happened between me and Jill. We always just been cool. Reason being is because I was dating Lindsay, you know what I'm saying? So even though Lindsay gave me the freedom to talk to who I wanted to while she was in prison, I told Jill about that, and Jill just wasn't that type of girl to do that type of stuff. And I respected it. So me and Jill always been close and cool friends, and she's been a plug of mine. And so I think I hit Jill up around that time to get some stuff. And I just came with the idea, let me ask Jill. And so I said, hey, Jill, would you mind doing this scene with me? And Jill was down, you know what I'm saying? And so that's how Jill became a part of the scene. So as she's walking up to my house, of course, they panning it down to her feet because they want to create the illusion that it's Nicole. All right? You know, that was actually her first time meeting my mom. And what's funny is that she actually hooked my mom up with some, because my mom smokes too. So she actually hooked my mom up with some stuff after we got done shooting the scene. And basically the scene was what it was. It was just me meeting Jill, talking to her, you know, telling her she got nice energy. It was meant for Cece. So because it wasn't Cece, that's why they didn't put a whole lot of emphasis on it. And then basically that was the end of me. They basically showed me saying, Jill, you got energy, and me and her smiling at each other, and that's that. It's like, well, that's it for him. We don't need any more of him. And then it goes back to Lindsay. You know, with this, oh my God, little violin story where she's crying about her recovery. And it took me forever to get to this point. And listen, I'm not making fun of nobody's recovery. And I applaud Lindsay for her recovery. And I've always told her how proud of her I am for her getting to that point. But again, for me, it was the dramatics. Lindsay sometimes tries very hard to make herself cry. She knows how to do that. She's very good at doing that. That's why I kept saying I don't see not one tear coming down that face. She's good at making herself cry. She'll go back and think about certain things that'll make her cry, to make it look good on camera. And it bothered me the most because as I said before, I could see what this whole storyline was meant to be. And it was meant to be the Lindsay redemption story. That whole season was meant to be the Lindsay story. That's why she got the most emphasis put on her. I was nothing more than basically a side character and basically the antagonist for her recovery. While fuckboy Buckethead is, you know, painted out as to be her knight in shining armor and all this type of shit. And it pissed me off. Because I'm like, how are y'all going to do me like this? After all I did for y'all. After I sat there and let y'all for 3 seasons make me look absolutely ridiculous, doing everything y'all ask me to do, even when I don't want to do it. Even when I'm seeing these other cast members get to basically be themselves, and I'm sitting here watching y'all put all these extra enhancements on me to make me look as pathetic as humanly possible. And this is how y'all are gonna repay me. Why? Because I done pissed y'all off a couple times for telling the truth. So that way, I felt like it was basically a fuck you to me. All right. And then they ended the whole thing off with basically saying how Lindsay and Blaine are together and trying to work on their relationship. And the last little segment I got was basically saying Daonte is single, but still in contact with Lindsay. And that's it. And there's a reason for that. So right here, right now, I'm going to stop this right here. And I'm going to drop some tea for y'all ass. I'm going to call this next segment the tea segment. I'm going to talk about some stuff. I'm not even going to call it the tea segment. It's going to be called the aftermath and what happened afterwards. And I'm going to drop some tea for y'all ass. So let me stop this right here and talk about it. All right, y'all. So we are here. And I'm here to call this segment right here the tea. Because right now what I'm about to do is break down the fourth wall and reveal to you guys some stuff that happened after that season ended. Reveal to you what was supposed to happen and why it didn't, and why we are where we are right now. All right. So as I said, it ended basically by saying Daonte is single, but still keeping in touch with Lindsay. That was some bullshit. I was not single. I was in a full-fledged relationship with Cece at that point. Now when we filmed that last scene of me and Lindsay breaking up, yeah, I was single then. But by the time they had edited that thing and filmed me with that orange shirt on, Cece was my woman. Cece was pregnant. I was in a full-fledged relationship with Cece. The reason why they ended it like that is because Lindsay, basically I was supposed to have been a part of the previous season that just aired. Lindsay wanted me on that season with them. That was the original plan. Basically what they wanted was what was happening in real life. Is that basically me and Lindsay were still talking to each other, flirting around with each other, still had feelings for each other. The problem was also what was happening in real life is that I was in a relationship with Cece, and Cece was heavily involved in what was going on. And she was pregnant. The thing was, Lindsay didn't want no parts of Cece. I'm just going to keep it a buck. Lindsay didn't want the smoke with Cece. She didn't want Cece to be a part of this. She basically wanted it to be me and Blaine fighting over her, for her to make the decision of who she wanted to ultimately be with. When I'm just going to keep it a buck, she probably was going to choose him anyways because he was down there with her. And that's just the facts. But, however, Lindsay wanted to keep Jill. She wanted to involve Jill. She wanted a fake beef with Jill to make the storyline look good, instead of the real beef that was going on with Cece, because she didn't want that smoke with Cece. She'd rather have had the safe bet and use Jill. And if you think I'm lying, I'm going to show you exactly what I'm talking about after this. Alright? So that was the plan. Yes, you were supposed to have seen my ass on this last prior season that just aired. So here's what went down. After I left Mississippi, after I filmed that breakup scene with Lindsay, as I said, I basically hooked up with Cece the next day. From that day forward, and for about a month, Lindsay was not on my mind. I didn't give a shit about Lindsay. I was mad at Lindsay. I didn't want to think about Lindsay. So I shifted all my focus to Cece. And we became a thing. Now, psychologically, mentally, yes. Hindsight being 2020, I was not fully over Lindsay yet. I just programmed myself to be at that time because I didn't want to dwell. And Cece was there, you know what I'm saying? Like, she was there when I was vulnerable, and then eventually I fell for her. So me and Cece were an item. And for 3.5 weeks up to a month, we were good. You know what I'm saying? We had one little hiccup where, she came to see me and we spent the weekend together on the beach and had a good time. And then I drove up to Michigan to see her, and she kind of stood me up the first time. And I didn't hear nothing from her until I left. And then she explained to me why, because I guess I made her feel like an option, which I apologize for. And we got past that. And then by the time my birthday rolled around, she did for me something that I've never had done before. Had a hotel decked out for me. She made me feel special on my birthday. And it was around that time that we got pregnant. Cece and I got pregnant together. It was also around this time that I would get a call from somebody from WeTV saying, hey, we're going to fly you out to Los Angeles in early May to do a photo shoot. As a matter of fact, I had Cece on three-way with me listening to this phone call. So she was aware that I had to go to Los Angeles. Now, what I didn't know was that Lindsay was going to be there. I found that out about a week before I went there because out the blue, I got a text from Lindsay basically saying, are you ready to go to LA? You excited to go to LA? And I'm like, wait, you're going to be there? I was shocked to even be hearing from her because the last I had talked to her was on camera when we broke up. So I was happy to hear from her. I'm not going to lie. The feelings was kind of still there. And then the fact that I knew I was about to see her, I was like, oh shit. And I let Cece know, hey, I just found out Lindsay's going to be there. And it was at that point Cece wasn't all that happy about it. But she didn't seem all that upset right away. Then eventually, we go to LA. And me and Lindsay end up riding together. We basically were paired up together out there, pretty much. We were in the same hotel, just different rooms, as I said. And I felt from that point on that once I landed in Los Angeles and told Cece that I'm riding with Lindsay, I felt like that is when the problems really first started to begin between me and Cece. Even though nothing had happened yet between me and Lindsay, other than we were just riding together. It just, from that point on, it just started the downward spiral, I believe. And then as I said on the last one, Lindsay and me went out to a bar and had a drink together. I watched her dance with other girls. I didn't dance with her. I just watched her dance till she got too drunk. Then I got her back to her room, made sure she was good. Then I went up to my room and basically argued with Cece the rest of the night. And then, like I said, the next day we go to that hotel room. She's out there making out with other dudes. I briefly videotaped it to prove my innocence, and it ended up, being blown out of, going other places that I didn't mean for it to go to, whatever. We're at the point now where we're in Los Angeles, and I'm arguing with Cece 24/7 now about Lindsay. And now it's at the point where I'm getting increasingly more frustrated with Cece. Lindsay is getting more frustrated with Blaine because he's also not there, which is internally bringing us closer together because at this time, me and Lindsay have the same thing in common. That show was number one to her and me at that time. And we were willing to do anything we could to make it look good. We had already fucked up by letting it leak that her and Blaine had done kissed each other. You know what I'm saying? So now we were trying to make up for it. And I explained to Cece that our, production wants me and Lindsay to post pictures together because they did want us to do that. They did. They were like, you guys need to start posting pictures together, to throw off the audience, basically. So in the beginning, me and Lindsay started posting our old pictures from when we were still together. You know what I mean? These were pictures that Cece had done already seen. So I didn't think it was going to be that huge of a deal. But it was. You know, the second we started doing that, I started arguing left and right with Cece. And so I got into a situation where I became torn because even though I love Cece and this is my girl, now Lindsay's around, Lindsay wasn't making it no better because she knew what she was doing. Lindsay was being flirty as hell because Lindsay never took Cece serious. To Lindsay, I was always hers. And it was just a matter of time when she wanted me back. And that's just what it was. And I fell into it for a minute. And I got torn in between the two of them. And the more frustrated I would get with Cece, the closer I would get with Lindsay. Like, and it's, I don't know. That's when I started fucking up real bad. But, you know, nothing happened, by the way, other than us just being flirty with each other. But again, with these pictures, we arguing back and forth about these pictures. And then me and Lindsay had to go and do this photo shoot together. Now, as we're in the dressing room waiting for our turn to go out and do this shoot, production is kind of telling us you guys should take some current pictures. Because all the while we're posting these older pictures, Lindsay is sitting here arguing with people on Instagram about the validity of the pictures. Because there's people calling us out, you know, saying that those pictures are bullshit, that they're old. And reason being is because around this time, it had done already leaked that I had a new girlfriend. You know what I'm saying? Cece's presence was already kind of being felt. Certain people already knew. So Lindsay was trying to debunk that. So we're in this studio dressing room together, and I'm frustrated arguing with Cece. So Lindsay's in the mirror, come here so we can take these pictures together. And I was at the point where I was like, man, fuck it, let's take the pictures. So yeah, I was all up on Lindsay. You know, as you can probably see, I was all up on Lindsay in these pictures, just smiling like the Cheshire Cat, and so was she. You know, as you can see, we were all up on each other, and those were meant to be posted. We just never did. I begged Lindsay not to post those because I knew Cece would have a flying fit. Then we go to do the shoot. We're out here doing this photo shoot, and we took a couple pictures that were, you know, provocative. And one, I'm shirtless, and she's all up on me, you know. And that's how it was. Then we leave the shoot. And first of all, there was a picture that we took in the van going to the shoot where I have the exact same outfit on that I'm wearing, where me and Lindsay are sitting on the couch and I got my arm around her. And Cece knew it. I tried to lie and tell Cece that those were old. But like I said, Cece ain't stupid. She knew exactly that those were current pictures. Then we leave the shoot, go to the hotel room and meet up with some of the other cast. And I'm not going to name drop them because a lot of them are still on the show. You know what I'm saying? Meet up with some of the other cast. We're done with this shoot. However, for whatever reason, Lindsay is still arguing with folks on Instagram about these pictures. So much so to the point where I'm sitting next to her while we're talking to some of the other cast. I'm already frustrated as hell arguing with Cece. Because see, on Lindsay's side of things, she's in complete control of that relationship. Blaine does whatever the fuck Lindsay tells her to do. So she didn't give a fuck whether he was mad or not. Because she knew he wasn't going nowhere. It was different for me. I was always afraid I was going to lose Cece. You know what I'm saying? So I'm sitting up here trying to save my relationship. All the while, this girl doing everything she can, in my opinion, to tear it apart. So I'm sitting next to Lindsay in front of the rest of the cast that's out there now. She grabs my phone, goes on Google to pull up the date. And I'm like, what are you doing? And she hands my phone to me with the screen on Google showing the date. And she's, you know, leans up on me to take a selfie. And I'm like, the fuck are you doing? And she takes this picture solely because She wants people to see that me and her are together on that particular day, right now, just to prove these people wrong. And if that picture used to be posted at one point in time, and if you see that picture, you can see my face. You can see that I'm frustrated as fuck with her. Because I told her, what the fuck are you doing? You are gonna ruin my relationship. You get to go home to your dude. My girl's gonna be pissed at me. And Lindsay didn't seem to give a fuck. Like, dude, I was so mad. To the point where, I ain't gonna lie, Kevin was there. Kevin ain't on the show no more. Kevin was there. So I was to the point now where she's asking me for Kevin's phone number. And I'm like, what you want his number for? Because she's sitting up there pouting because I just fussed at her. So I'm like, what you want his number for? Because I ain't gonna lie, I was already a little suspicious of her around Kevin to begin with. Because Kevin is my dog. That's my boy, and Kevin a man, and a man gonna be a man. And Lindsay, I know Lindsay, and I know when she gives certain vibes, and being around him, she was giving me the vibe that, hey, if he wanted it, she would have been down. I don't know how true that was, I just got that vibe, so I was already watching her. Even though she wasn't my girl, you know, at this point, that's Blaine's girl, so whatever she does is what she does. But I'm like, all right, bro, like, you know what I'm saying? Just don't give it away that you fucking wet, all right? But she asked me for his number, and I'm like, what you want his number for? It's like, well, I'm just going to tell him to come get me since you want me. And I'm like, you ain't going no fucking where. Sit your ass down. I straight told her, you ain't going nowhere. Set your ass down. And she sat there and pouted with me until I got ready to go. You feel me? Then at the end of that night, you know, it's crazy because then at the end of all that, we ended up linking up with Kev and some of the other cats anyways. She got too drunk that night to the point where we couldn't even go out and hang out with everybody else because I had to take her back to her room. She throwing up in the Ubers, and I had to make sure she was back in her room safe to the point where she wasn't going to throw up all over herself. To the point where she told me to text Blaine because I had his number. She said, text him and tell him you're taking care of me. I said, oh, yeah? You want me to text him? And she was like, I said, okay. Because earlier that night, she had done video called him, telling him that Daonte is taking care of me while I'm walking her across the street. And he just as quiet as a church mouse. And I'm just kind of laughing like, yeah, bitch, I'm taking care of her. All right? So when she's asking me to now text this guy and say, hey, I'm taking care of her. Oh, I jumped to that. I took a picture of her face, laid on it with the trash can by her face, and you can see my black ass hand with the trash can. And I say, yeah, I'm taking care of her. She good, bro. All right. I'll leave when I feel like she's safe. And I did. I didn't bother her. I made sure she was safe, and I love her. But it was that particular, you know, time period right there that just sparked so many problems between Cece and me. And then I kept fucking up on top of that. You know, because then now we're arguing about me and Lindsay talking to each other left and right. Also on top of that, I was being trifling in my own right, you know, talking to girls in my DMs left and right. You know, some of this stuff ain't gonna make me look good. It's just me being honest, all right? Then we fast forward to Memorial Day of that year, last year, 2022. Cece's pregnant. We're having our issues. I go up there to Michigan to visit her. And because we're having our issues and we're fighting, she don't come to see me right away. So I spend my first day or two hanging out with Rachel until Cece is ready to see me. She comes to see me, we probably spend... Now around this time, me and Lindsay are still being flirty with each other and trifling. So even though I'm on the way up here to see Cece, I'm still talking to Lindsay in my DMs. And I'm telling Lindsay, I sent her a stop sign. That means don't talk to me until I leave here. That's how we were operating at that time. So by the time I left Michigan, I would send Lindsay the green light. That'll let her know now you can talk. It's embarrassing, but that's how trifling we were being. All right. So now then, Cece comes to see me and we spend the night together. And then I got an offer from Indy and Yolanda, who were throwing a barbecue or whatnot on Memorial Day, to come hang out with them. Now, those are my people. You know, I always jump to the opportunity to hang out with, you know, certain cast members, especially Indy and them. So I wanted to do that. And I had never met Indy in person up to that point. This would have been the first time for me to meet Indy in person. And I remember I was with Cece, and I kind of told her about that, but I was like, I probably should stay here with you, huh? And she was like, no, I don't want to stop you, you know, if that's what you want to do. Hindsight being 2020, if I could go back in time, and if I was thinking back then, honestly, I should have dedicated that time to Cece. She was pregnant at the time. Instead of me jumping to go hang out, I probably should have been there with her. But I wasn't thinking about that. And she gave me the go-ahead. So I just went and hung out with Indy and them. You know, we ended up going on a boat together. Make a long story short, I had been arguing with Cece all up until that time. I was kind of not feeling the mood. And it took for Indy's sister, Yolanda, to walk up to me and say, stop being such a negative Nancy. You know, open up or whatever. So that's when I finally started taking some drinks with him, to the point where I started getting loose and dancing with him. And by this time, everybody was dancing. Indy's brother took his shirt off. So I took my shirt off and started dancing and just forgot about everything for the moment. All the while I'm on this boat dancing and living my best life, I start getting screenshots of myself dancing in that particular moment with my shirt off from Cece. So imagine me dancing and then looking at my phone. I'm like, oh shit, the fuck? And I'm looking around like, who's taking pictures of me? You know, because now I know that I'm getting ready to get in trouble. Because here I am hanging out with a cast member. And somebody is posting this shit on social media. That's how Cece got it. So I'm already thinking about that. And sure enough, Cece got a hold of it. She cussing me out. And then I made the mistake of letting Indy herself try to talk to Cece. And I made it worse to the point where, you know, those two weren't all that crazy about each other. And this was right before I shot that scene with Jill in it. And that is the thing that me and Cece were arguing about when she was on her way up to Virginia to do the scene. Was the thing with Indy. Because a week or so had done passed, and I thought we were past it, and she brought it back up. And I didn't understand why it was coming back up, and it just blew up into a whole deal. And yeah. But again, that was a trifling move on my part. Fast forward past that, we're trying to work on things, but I'm still being trifling with Lindsay. You know, and it got to the point where, you know, for a minute, I always would side with Lindsay over Cece because sometimes I thought that Cece was just tripping. You know what I mean? But it would be little things that Lindsay would do and say. Lindsay already couldn't stand the fact that Cece was pregnant. She didn't like that. She admitted to me that she didn't like that. And she would make little references towards our pregnancy before and after the miscarriage that would set Cece off. And I would sometimes side with Lindsay because I would feel like sometimes Cece was tripping. And then I would feel like there's not a whole lot I can do about what somebody else does on their social media. Like I feel like I can't control what Lindsay says or she does. You asking me to do too much. And it got to the point where Cece would start getting herself involved and making herself known and making herself seen. You know, that video of Lindsay kissing the dude was posted on Cece's Instagram for a minute because Cece got to a point where she said, fuck it. And she started going at Lindsay herself. You know what I'm saying? And I'm deep in the middle of all this, but then I can't control it, you know. And then I got myself in trouble. Like I said, me hanging out with Indy got me fussed out by production, by the executive producer again, because he was such a dick. I mean, he's such a anal about cast members hanging out with each other. And that would be the last conversation I would have with that man up until September of that year because I fussed at him. Me and him hadn't gotten a fussing contest because I got tired of him coming at me sideways every time about that, and it's not in the contract. So what am I doing wrong? Okay, I didn't go out purposely filming this stuff. I didn't go taking pictures with them or nothing like that. I can't help that other people film this shit. And at the end of the day, if you're not going to put it in writing that I can't hang out with Cass, what am I doing wrong? We're not making the show look fake because we're friends. I never bought that. You feel me? So we had a shouting contest and basically stopped talking at that point. Me and the executive producer. So fast forward now. We in the summertime. I'm trying to work things out with Cece, but I'm still being trifling with Lindsay to the point where it's getting too out of hand, and I'm slowly trying to pull away from Lindsay because it was at one point in time where me and Lindsay was always on each other's Instagram, commenting at each other back and forth, creating this illusion that we're still together. She was always on my Instagram lives with me after the episode. Go back to that stretch of time during the season because I save all of my lives. Go back to that stretch of time. You'll see Lindsay on my lives with me 24/7, eating up my followers. And she was feeding off of that. Every other night, she would text me about how many followers she's gaining. Because that is what she cared about the most. Followers. See, that's not something I ever cared about. I got my following organically. And I didn't even realize how many followers I had. But she pays so much attention to that. You feel me? So you would see her all the time on my lives. You would see her developing relationships with certain YouTubers that I had already had an established relationship with. Off the back of me, basically, off the strength of me. Lindsay didn't know none of these folks before me. You feel me? Even the ones that turned on me and don't like me right now, that are cool with her now, before she came along, they were my friends. You feel me? But it got to a point for me where I felt like I needed to separate because it was getting too out of hand. I felt like this is all about the show for Lindsay. And she don't care if she fucks up my relationship or hers. I didn't care that much about the show like she did. So I slowly started trying to pull away. And I'm going to show you what I'm talking about because I got, every receipt I could ever need. You'll see me basically trying to pull away and her getting upset that I'm trying to pull away, telling me that Cece is going to ruin everything for you and this, that, and the third. You know what I'm saying? And it got to a point where in late September, we had it out. Shut up, barking ass dog. In late September, we had it out, and that would be the last I would speak to Lindsay for a long time. And then the executive producer hit me up around late September. It's around the time, and we had a heart-to-heart conversation. And he was actually in a good mood, basically trying to calm me down and basically telling me, hey, I never said this was the end, but these things don't last forever. I understood where he was coming from. I'm not in a relationship with an inmate. But he was like, I got other things. I got a special. I got this, that, and the third. I let him know straight off the bat that once this season ends, I'm going to post Cece. Because I had gotten in trouble previous to that again. Because I used to let Cece post me. You know what I'm saying? I would let her post me on her Facebook. Because her Facebook was private. So nobody would really know. But she got to a point where she didn't want to keep posting me for me not to acknowledge her. All she ever wanted from me was some acknowledgement. So sometimes I would love react whatever she posted to me. Well, it got to a point where, she wanted me to comment, basically. I was always hesitant to do that because I was afraid it was going to leak before it was time, But I understood, all she wanted is for me to acknowledge her. It looked bad that I'm posted all over the internet with this other girl. But then her family knows her to be, me to be her man. So the least I can do is give her some acknowledgement. Her Facebook was always private, so I didn't think it was going to be a huge deal. So there was a point in time where she posted a picture of me and put BD on there, which stands for baby daddy. And so I replied and just put BM with some heart emojis or whatever on it. Sure enough, the second I did that, it leaked all over the internet, and it was rumored that now I got a pregnant girlfriend. And production's pissed off at me again, and now I got to deal with that bullshit. And so that's, you know what I'm saying, like, yeah. So we had done come a long way by that time. But I told him that, hey, I'm posting my girl. I'm tired of keeping her a secret. She's tired of being a secret. Because if we had gone the way Lindsay wanted to go, you know, Cece had done involved herself so much that I don't think production wanted to deal with her. So basically what would have happened was they would have kept me on the season, and I would have had to keep Cece's secret even longer. And she was not going to go for that. That means we would have literally had to have waited until the prior season ended for me to ever reveal her. And that there's no way that would have worked out ever. You know what I mean? So I told him I'm posting my girl, and I'm gonna post my pictures that I took with the cast, because I got tired of keeping my life secret. For what? For y'all are not gonna use me, so what? I can't show that I'm friends with these folks. And I left out the pictures that I took with the cast that's still on the show. So what you saw was pictures of me with Lacey and John and Angela and, you know, Brittany and Ray and Rachel and all these people that weren't on the show no more. And, you know, as far as I knew, that was supposed to be the end of me on the show, but evidently it wasn't. Evidently, from what I was told by Lindsay, they were going to hold on to me all the way up until Cece and I did this interview right after the season with this blogger that I was close with. Cece got asked a question, you know, pertaining to our miscarriage. Did she feel like what I was doing with Lindsay played a part in her miscarriage? Cece answered honestly, yes, because it did. What I had going on with Lindsay led to us arguing, which basically led to a miscarriage. So no, nobody was directly blaming Lindsay, but, you know, it played a part. It was then, I guess, because of that interview, people started taunting Lindsay, calling her baby killer, whatever. She got in her feelings and went and ran to blogger after blogger after blogger, trying to get them to put out some kind of story, until eventually she went to the one blogger that I don't fucking got no respect for no more, that I thought was a friend of mine. The one with the blonde fucking wig on and the bald-headed, slick-talking ass husband, who will never get a name drop on this channel, who wasn't even covering the series at that point in time. You know, got them involved, and this whole mess blew up, which I'm not going to get into, where basically these people talked me into coming on to their panel and confronting Lindsay, and me and Lindsay had it out on this video that has magically disappeared, where I called Lindsay out straight out on her bullshit. And apparently it was that right there that sealed my fate, as far as I know. You feel me? Which I didn't give a fuck about, because I thought I was done at that point anyways. And basically, that was the end. That would be the end of my saga with Lindsay. And I would not speak another word to Lindsay again, because after that, what happened after that was a bunch of bloggers banded together basically and started to attack me and Cece and try to tear us down. Basically because of Lindsay. And that's why I said she is the type of person that stirs up shit and then hides behind the scenes as quiet as a church mouse while all the mayhem happens. Like she didn't have nothing to do with it. So what ensued after that was I began to become attacked by a whole bunch of bloggers, and a lot of people started to turn on me. You know, this whole ordeal happened. You know, to the point where, I ended up, taking the back seat for a minute, focusing on myself with CC. And then CC and I had our falling out, and we are where we are now. And I would not speak to Lindsay again up until just here recently, my birthday. When she hit me up on my birthday, after finding out that I was newly single, laughing and giggling and smiling in my face, and I'm thinking we on good terms again. I finally done mended fences with Lindsay and Nicole now at that point. But boy, was I fooled, because like I said, I would get on social media 3 days later and somebody done sent me a screenshot of Lindsay talking shit about me in the Savage groups. Which is why I said, okay, fuck it, don't get mad. Which is why I pretty much have been exposing her from this point on. And we didn't speak another word up until then. She texted me and asked me why I made the video, and I told her why, and that was that. Until recently, when Lindsay decided to get on Reddit and try to come for me, and I read her ass, and thank you for the screenshot, Lindsay. So now then, that's basically my end, man. That is my end of my run on Love After Lockup, Life After Lockup. Now what I'm going to do right here is I'm going to stop this right here, and I'm going to show you some footage. Just basically going to follow up with everything that I just been talking about. But now you're going to see it visually. I'm going to put it all together. I'm going to show it to you, all right? And then we're going to do my final thoughts. And we're going to wrap this up with a bow, all right? So let's do it. Now, right here, as you can see, as I said, she didn't want the smoke with CC. So here's her asking if I think that Jill would be okay with a fake social media beef when her episode airs. So it'll look like they're beefing over me, basically. And then here's her saying she hates Reddit. So there's that. Right here is her basically telling me how sensitive Blaine is because she goes on my Instagram lives with me. And like I said, this is a time where I'm being trifling too. So I'm telling her how happy it makes me feel that she feels the same way I do. That she gets mad. Like, this ain't a good look, but it's just me showing how trifling, how we were both being at that time. Right here is her getting upset because some damn random tried to make it look like they were messing with me, basically. Now, even though I'm in a full-fledged relationship with Cece at this point, and Cece should have been the one mad had she seen this, it was bullshit because I didn't even know who the fuck that was. But as you can see, she's upset. How many people are you hooking up with right now? And this is my response. I have no idea who that is. That don't even look like somebody I would talk to. And then I'm laughing. And then she's like, why are they being so crazy? And I said, they're probably messaging from one of those fake accounts of me. The fuck out of here. What the fuck do I look like? Look at you and Cece and look at that lady, right? And you see what she says. This is very true. You seeing all this. Right here, I'm telling her, I can't believe you really think I'm out here just hooking up with motherfuckers like that. I ain't had sex with nobody but Cece since you. And you see what Lindsay says right there. Got in my feelings. I blame my vagina. Now, you supposed to be in a relationship with Blaine, but you still worried about me and blaming your vagina because you still want me. You see what I'm saying? Now, this is the episode where they showed them bullshit text messages that wasn't me. And you see, this is Lindsay siding with me, appearing that she has no idea that they put those text messages right there. You see what she's saying? What text? Now, I don't know if she's playing me or if she's really genuinely upset like I was. But then right here, that's when I went live and called out the executive producer and called him a perverted old white man. And this was her response. She's saying, well, he said he may be white and a pervert, but don't call him old. And, you know, I said, well, at least he own up to it. And then this is me sending her the screenshot of them being upset that I replied to Cece's comment. And that's when she's like, well, you should have expected that. You know. Now, right here is funny because Lindsay decided just recently to come for me on Reddit. But the reason why I have this circle is because that right there is Lindsay. She admitted that that's her a long time ago. This is her trying to throw shade at me for because it came out that I was dating Cece. So this is Lindsay on Reddit pretending to be a Reddit person throwing shade at me and Cece. And there's some more. I don't think it's cute with her white ass to be appropriating black culture with those braids. This is Lindsay talking like this now. And she's acting like she used to know Cece. Yeah, I know her and remember her being like, what the fuck? Like, dropping N-word, this and that. This is Lindsay speaking, by the way, up under somebody else's identity. You feel me? Now, this is around the time where Cece put up that video of Lindsay kissing that dude. And she was basically threatening to basically do something. And I have until she got home tonight to get Cece to take it down, which she didn't. And as you can see, she's worried about her 40,000 followers. That's all she cared about was her followers. And I told her, you better tread lightly because Cece ain't the one. And then you see what she's saying. She can't handle me simply saying you aren't having a baby. I just wanted to leave me alone. She's obsessed with you and me. And I try to explain to her, anytime you acknowledge our baby, it sets her off. You're my ex. She knows we've been talking. Like, I admit it. I still have a weakness for you. Like, you see what I'm saying? I'm trying to explain to her. And Lindsay's not getting it. And this right here, I'm telling her, this is the craziest situation I've been in. But I already know that me talking to you hurts her. And I feel like such a piece of shit sometimes. But I already know I'm going to hurt you if I ever cut you off. And it's the biggest dilemma. I don't want to hurt nobody, man. I just don't know. And you see Lindsay's pissed off. I'll make it for you. Call me when you realize what a mistake she is. You see her mad? And it sucks I'm losing you as a friend, but it's, you know what I'm saying, she wins. She'll make sure you don't have a friendship with me or any chance at a new season. And you see what I told her. I never cared about doing another season. I love being on TV, but the way they do me, I was already on edge to begin with. Like, I only cared about Lindsay, and she didn't get that. So that's pretty much, this was like September. This was like the last conversation we had. And right here is just a shot of the fucking photo shoot that we did. Well, like I said, we got a little provocative, and I'm sitting up there with my goddamn shirt off and shit. And yeah, thankfully this was never used. If it was ever used, I'm pretty sure Cece would have had a flying ass fit, and I would have never heard the end of it. So, thank God this was never brought to the forefront. Right here these are the pictures I was talking about where we were basically in the studio at the photo shoot just about to do that. And she said, come here and take these pictures with me. I had just got done arguing with Cece. So I was mad and just said, fuck it. And took those pictures. And I'm smiling like that. And also production wanted us to take these pictures. Was it trifling? Yes, but, you know, we did it. And there's another shot. And you see we looking all booed up and hugged up as if we are still a couple. And all the while, you know, I'm Cece's man and she's Blaine's woman. And here we are in this, you know, photo shoot dressing room taking these selfies that were meant to be posted. And they just never got posted. Mainly because I didn't want them to be. And that'll be the last one right there. You know, I think I might have put one of these in my story, and that's it. But as you can see, Lindsay is smiling like the Cheshire Cat. okay, because she's loving every second of this. Me, on the other hand, I'm a little on edge, but, you know, I'm trying. And this is basically, you know, this is the tea right here, man. This it right here. And I almost forgot. Now, as I said before, she tried to create it. She tried to comfort me on Reddit because of this YouTube channel. Where here it is, Daonte, start promoting your YouTube channel on Reddit through a fake profile. If you're really this serious about it, then at least use your name. You know, she tried it. Like, when I saw this, I said, oh, word? This was just here recently. So then I proceeded to create my own, and you see what I said. You rang? First of all, let me explain something to you. I don't need to hide behind a motherfucking thing. You see how quickly I just jumped the fuck up on here? Soon as I seen you talking that shit? And you can read the rest for yourself, because, I mean, I could go on and on. But yeah, that's the rest of the tea. I forgot about that, y'all. But there you go. Right, so final thoughts for the season finale and my swan song, the end of my road on the franchise of Love After Lockup, Life After Lockup. I ain't gonna lie, it's kind of bittersweet looking at that because, man, it just symbolized, you know, the end of what was. But all good things come to an end, and like the executive producer told me, these things don't last forever. As much as I loved being on TV and still love it to this day, I love being a public figure, and if there's ever opportunity for me to get back on somehow, some way, and maybe not necessarily that franchise, but I mean on a television screen in general, I will be the first to jump to it, all right? But do I feel like, you know what I'm saying, I don't know if I would go back to that franchise simply because you the only way you can do it is to be dating an inmate. I'm not going to subject myself to that just to entertain motherfuckers, all right? You know what I'm saying? Would I ever come, you know, looking at that season, like I said, I felt like that season was the Lindsay show, the Lindsay redemption story, and I was just there for the ride and there to be tossed aside for the next shiny new thing, which was fuckboy Buckethead, Blaine. And I told the executive producer before, I already know that I'm expendable. I don't care how popular I might have been or I might be. I already know. You'll use me today and do away with me tomorrow and go play with the next shiny new thing that comes along. You know what I'm saying? Like Monique and Derek, look at them now. They're you know, blowing the shit up. So I already knew that. You know what I'm saying? And Lindsay looks at this like her end-all, be-all, and I never have. I always wanted love at the end of the day. You know what I'm saying? I don't regret it because y'all wouldn't know who I was if it wasn't for that. Dive into it with deep probably would be a thing, but probably wouldn't have gained as much traction as it has right now. And I don't know if I'd be where I was, you know? So it is what it is. You take in the good with the bad, and you just learn from it, man. And it was a fun ride. It was a fun ride. It was a bumpy ride. Will I ever return? I never say never, so you never know. Like I said, I'm not going to go kiss nobody's ass and beg to be on nobody's show. You know what I'm saying? Is it a possibility that I would ever return with Nicole? With Lindsay even, maybe? Probably with Lindsay, probably hell no. I'm pretty sure me and Lindsay are not on the greatest of terms right now. But I don't know, with Nicole, you never know. Never say never, that's all I'll say. But for right now, I'm a single man enjoying my single life. Just trying to find myself and live my life and make my content and enjoy you all. So with that being said, I am done discussing love after lockup. Now I can move on to better things to talk about. Just stay tuned, all right? So with that being said, leave your comments down below. Hit that notification bell. Hit the like button. Subscribe. And as always, don't ever hesitate to dive into it with D. I'm out.